Here, we'll give it. Oh, wow. Nice. Leesburg. Oh, and Tennessee. I came back from Tennessee. Beautiful, beautiful state. We loved it there. Yeah. Can we? Let them, we'll give one more minute and we'll start.
Yes, sounds good. We have about 88 people. Let's wait for at least 100, and I think then we're good to go, and people will join as we go.
Great. Here, we are getting there. Okay, Rotem, so let's start.
Okay.
Yes.
Tammy, I don't hear you well. I hope it's not my internet connection.
No, today Professor Asher is commenting on, and he's right. When we did our, to see that everything's working, I tried to use Wi-Fi, and I don't know what happened, but it didn't work 100%. So now I'm actually going back to what 1990s or the early 2000s. I'm actually using a cable. We found a cable at the embassy, and I'm connected to the wall. So I can't go anywhere, and I hope you guys won't either. Is this better, Professor Lachelle?
Now I hear you. For a while you were kind of disconnected or frozen.
Here, I moved it. Let's hope it's good. But as I said, I'm connected to the wall. I can't see a thing. Yeah, it's a professor. I called him. Okay, sorry. So let me formally begin. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. And thank you so much for joining us today. I am very excited, and I'll tell you in a little bit why, to host and have with us the president of the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, Professor Asher Cohen. We're going to talk about varied topics from Jerusalem to coronavirus to, the holy city and high tech and anything in between. So let me just please introduce Professor Cohen. Professor Cohen, after graduating with a BA in economics and an MA in psychology, we'll discuss this too, from the Hebrew University, he did his doctoral and postdoctoral studies in the University of Oregon here in the United States. He served as a senior lecturer at Indiana University before returning in the early 1990s to the Hebrew University's Department of Psychology. Since 2008, he has served as the head of the Department of Psychology in the Faculty of Social Sciences at the university. He has also held various managerial positions in the university, including that of rector and head of association of the university professors. And now, of course, he is the president of Hebrew University. So welcome so much, Professor Cohen.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to this webinar.
Yeah, so are we. And one of the reasons is I've told you I'm a graduate of Hebrew University myself. I have my MA in international relations from the university. And, I think I loved every minute studying there.
You are one more reason that we are proud of our graduates.
Thank you. Yeah, and we're all over the world, right? So it's pretty
in
amazing.
Very influential positions all over the world.
Amazing. If it's okay, I'll just delve right into the questions because we have quite a bit.
Sure.
Yeah, as for all of us, we've been feeling it, and 2020 is not a usual year for any of us, and I'm sure especially in the university and the university life. We've heard about, Israeli technology, Israeli university and research gathering together, picking up everybody from, labs and psychologists and high-tech researchers to try to combat the coronavirus, COVID-19. Can you tell us what the Hebrew University has been doing, in this fight against the coronavirus?
Yeah, with your permission, I'll just say one sentence more generally, and then I'll go to the Hebrew University, because I think what we see now is how science is the solution to our problems in many cases. Here, we are right now at a time where we might be nearing a solution to the pandemic by having vaccinations it wouldn't have happened without science. It's science that brought it here, and science that will bring solutions to such deep problems that we may be facing once in a while. Now, going to the Hebrew University, one of the heartwarming feelings for me in the beginning of the pandemic, and as you can imagine, there were not too many heartwarming feelings, but one heartwarming feeling is how our faculty members really kind of jumped into the challenge and tried to provide all kinds of solutions for issues that arose because of the pandemic. I will start with the obvious, which is we managed to teach the previous semester and the current semester without any problems, moving swiftly from live teaching, which is the standard, to fully online teaching. It's not the standard, but we do it quite well. And we managed to finish one semester, and now we are in the midst of another semester, improving all the time. Our students are certainly happy with the solution that we provided so far. But with respect to the pandemic itself, we had, from the start, more than 60 different research projects that aimed at different aspects of the pandemic. And it all was bottom up. People, our faculty members from all over the place, from the medical science and physics to social sciences and law, jumped into the challenge and tried to provide solutions for many of the challenging questions that arose. So just to give you a few examples, we are now very near a solution where we will be able to provide tests. One of the people forget, but in the beginning, tests were actually an obstacle. We didn't have enough tests. And now, we hope in a few weeks, we'll be able to provide a solution such that every lab will be able to conduct 10,000 such tests simultaneously. And that
people,
can be
you mean
done.
testing people?
Yeah, you can put 10,000 tubes of 10,000 different people and get an answer to each and every one of them individually. Now, right now we are at a stage in the pandemic. Hopefully we are getting soon to the end of it. We are at a stage in the pandemic that we can provide tests. But in the beginning, we weren't able to. And if, unfortunately, another situation like that will arise, and it may, we'll be there already from the start with the ability to test as many people as we want to from the get-go in order to be able to confront such situations. So this is just one example. In addition to that, and I might add to it that science is the solution, but it's not magic. It takes time to provide solutions to complicated medical situations. And our scientists now are working on therapies, different types of therapies for the medical problems that arise from the pandemic. And we are quite progressing in that. We don't have yet the final solution. It's going to take time. Even vaccination takes time, and therapies takes even more time. But we are approaching a situation where we will be able to provide at least some solutions to some of the medical issues that arise from the pandemic. We, in fact, because of the pandemic, we also established, and we are now in the final stages of establishing a special lab. It's called ABSL3. The letters don't mean much, but in a sense, it means that in the near future, we will be able to test live pathogens, which is essential in order to be able to find solutions to what the pathogens are the viruses that may attack us. We may be able to test live pathogens without any danger to the researchers or to the environment around us. And that's something that you have to have it, and we now have it, and we'll be able to use it in the near future. By the way, as one of the ironies of this situation, our ABSL lab was built by a special factory that is located in a small town called Corona in California.
Oh, I didn't even hear of this town, but yeah, that is
Nor
very,
did I
this is the
before.
ironies of life.
Yeah, indeed. So that's another example, and I can provide many other additional examples of projects that are ongoing, and many of them will help us in the near future for this pandemic, and what is no less important, for any unfortunate future pandemic that may come around. We will be more ready if it comes.
That is fascinating. And this is exactly, you went into the topic that I noted down and wanted to ask you about. You were talking about this biosafety level 3 lab. And most of us here aren't scientists or, know the different levels. As you said, the numbers don't matter. But if I understand correctly, then this lab, you started building it or thought about it with no connection to the current pandemic and the coronavirus.
Yes, indeed, because we anticipated already that at some point there will be a need for that. We don't have any such lab in Israel. This is the only civilized lab, meaning that is not for military purposes in Israel. And it's now being established and will be ready, I believe, in 2 to 3 weeks from now.
Wow. And is this then for all, Hebrew University is a huge university. You mentioned it. You have, 5 different campuses. You have the medical school that's with the Hadassah Medical Center. And, the organization of Hadassah are very good friends of ours here. And we do a lot of things with them. And Hadassah is an amazing example of many Israeli innovation and medical innovation. But you have your campus in Rehovot that deals also with agriculture and veterinary, and in Givat Ram that does the sciences. Will everybody, like each different department, each different campus will come and use this lab, or you'll do
Yeah, everyone at the Hebrew University and beyond. We are going to make it a national lab so that other universities in Israel can use it as well. And in fact, we do it in collaboration with Mafat, which is a military unit that deals with civil issues like that. And so we help them, they help us, and we are going to provide that lab for anyone in Israel that is qualified and needs it.
That is amazing. And so can we, hopefully won't have another such pandemic, but if we look at history, this is not the first worldwide pandemic that has hit. So hopefully maybe next time, whenever it is, we'll be better equipped, we'll be quicker in our responses, quicker in finding even ways of testing. This is one of the aims?
Yeah, indeed. And more so, all those projects that I mentioned, they also, in addition to tackling specific challenging medical issues that arose from the pandemic, built an infrastructure for any additional eventuality, no matter what it might be, so that we are ready for the next one a lot quicker.
You're already taking the lessons and
one has to always think about the future. This is the way of science, by the way. We always think about the future and try to to position ourselves in such a situation that we'll be able to tackle additional questions if they arise.
So if with that in mind, I'm going to ask a little bit a wider question.
Sure.
We understand that you're also building or working on a center for computational medicine.
Yeah.
We hear a lot about very specific treatments, tailor-made treatments. We see now people, giving their DNA, taking genes, et cetera, to find tailor-made. It also seems, we hear some things about it now, but it's definitely something maybe more in the future. I want to say futuristic, but even if we have the same disease, each one of us will be treated differently. Can you tell us a bit about this new center and what the plans are?
Yeah, we are very proud of that. It's called computational medicine. And it's really some sort of a marriage between medical research and computer science that we are now able to have. So I don't want to tire you with numbers or anything like that, but I'll just say very quickly, you mentioned DNA. Each cell in our body, we have billions of them, each cell has DNA that has somewhat like 20,000 different letters in it. Those letters, in a complicated way, create proteins. And we have in each cell several thousand proteins. Sometimes it could be 50,000, sometimes it could be even 100,000 proteins within each cell. Now, when you have a disease, few of those conspire to do something that is wrong, that wasn't planned and leads to the disease. And often, the few that caused that particular disease can be slightly different from one person to the next, which leads to a problem because that we cannot know which person belongs to which subgroup between those things. And it's very difficult to see it, fortunately, because we now have the computational tools and we have large medical data sets. We can detect even very small variations that lead to people reacting differently to medicine. And now we have the hope, because of that, of finally tackling some of the most debilitating diseases that we face, cancer, infectious diseases, that challenged us for many decades because of the fact that they are so complicated and that they are subtly different from one person to another. And we are lucky at the Hebrew University that we have the combination of groups that can provide top-notch research on this topic. We have medical scientists, we have computer scientists, we have doctors. In fact, we even have now a new teaching program with young people that are equipped to deal with that from the very start of their training. It's all aimed at being able to answer questions that until 5 years ago, we weren't able to answer because we didn't have the tools. So the combination of computer science, medical research, the tools that enable us to analyze large data sets together, and of course, the sophistication of our researchers lead to a real possibility of answering some of the oldest medical questions eventually. And we are very much hopeful that it will work very soon.
So just, I mean, we know, part of the university's research has developed Exelon, which is supposed to combat Alzheimer's. We also have Doxil that is supposed to deal with some ovarian cancer. So what you're saying, even in the near future, Doxil might be administered differently to different women in order to have the best effect?
Right, Doxil is a general medicine. That's its limitation. It can help in a general way to some of the people, and it doesn't cure the problem. We hope to be able to understand what type of medicine will be able not just to delay the disease, but to cure it, and to have different, slightly different types of medicine for different people that suffer from the same disease, but in slightly different ways, and so they react differently to different medicines.
Amazing, amazing. And again, so relevant, and you say even 5 years ago, this wasn't something.
This is the way of the future. We hope to be able to provide solutions to highly complicated and debilitating diseases. I mentioned cancer, I mentioned infectious diseases, but not less importantly, this type of research may enable us also to prevent people from having those diseases by detecting people that are vulnerable and being able to provide them with means to not get the disease. So it has a huge promise.
Yeah, we'll keep following. Another topic that the Hebrew University, I know in Israel, is a leader in, and I'm sure worldwide, is all the issue of dealing, with climate change, with the environment, of being aware. And you keep saying your vision and you're looking towards the future. And we see a lot of environmental effects that we're feeling these days from things that we're doing today and have been done in the past. And we are looking always to the future for solutions, and more, and also under coronavirus, we feel the effects of this. The campus on Mount Scopus where I went these days, when I went, it wasn't long ago, is fitted with solar panels. The university is taking using the light rail, to have a station there, so students will not have to come with private cars or with gas-driven vehicles. Can you tell us about the center that you're doing for sustainability? What issues maybe specifically you want to tackle for Jerusalem, for Israel, and also globally?
Sure. We talk about sustainability and climate as one topic, but actually it's a fairly large number of topics. So some people deal with the renewable energy that is cleaner and doesn't affect the environment. Others deal with food security. Others deal with the climate itself and how to purify the air above us, for example. Others deal with the social effects of climate. And what we do now, we put all of those people under one unified center, research center that we call a Center for Sustainability, Climate, and Environment, because one of the things that we found over the years is that many of those issues can be solved effectively only if you combine methods from all of those different types of research on sustainability and climate and make those people cooperate with each other. Now, naturally, when researchers do their research, they focus on their own research. That's why interdisciplinary research is difficult, because you have to connect people that focus on different things together. And by establishing that center, that's what we are hoping to do. And we are hoping to provide many solutions to a different type of pandemic. It's not a medical pandemic, but unfortunately, we are going to face difficult situations in the near future and then in the far future, and we need to be able to prepare for them, and that's what we are going to do. I might add that the Middle East is also, maybe unfortunately, a good place for that, because the conditions here are such that the climate here will change the fastest.
Why?
Because of the climate conditions that exist here in this particular part of the planet. Climate is a very complicated thing, and it involves a lot of interactions of many things. And it so happens that in the Middle East, where you have both desert and mountains and the sea in a particular combination, things will change a little bit faster, maybe even more than a little bit faster than in other places. It's not good, but on the other hand, it provides us with an environment where we can do research effectively and see what we can do to improve the situation. I'm an optimist. I think that if we do things right now, we will be able to prevent many of the things that otherwise might happen. And our center is established for that purpose.
And will your results or inventions from this center, are you in touch with governments, with other universities worldwide about this? Is there going to be also the implementation of what you will be researching and coming up with?
Yeah, of course. We are in close touch with other researchers worldwide. We are now establishing connections with the government and with other agencies that are connected to it. Our hope is to connect everyone together. This is something that will connect all of us. We have to do it, and we have to do it together. And that's what we are doing now, trying to create contacts. We already did some of that with the government, with other agencies, and we always cooperate with researchers worldwide on these issues.
Yeah, we talk. I think this is a good question. I saw two questions, I think, on the chat about relating to what I wanted to ask you as well. We're talking about a lot of things that the university is doing, as we said, in biomedicine. I think the environment is a huge topic, and in tech and in thinking and working together. How is the university incorporated with Jerusalem on maybe two levels? One, about the diversity in the university and the different communities in Jerusalem, but also maybe economy-wise, like how is the university helping out is not the right word, but maybe cooperating or bettering the city that you are situated in, this holy city, the capital of Israel, Jerusalem?
This is a great question. And the question is even better because we are a public university. We are committed to the community where we live. It's part of us to be part of the community. We don't only do research and teaching, we are committed to being part of the community. And what we do is we work on the two aspects that you mentioned. So let's talk about the community. We, for example, I'll give you two quick examples of what we do in order to be part of the community. We brought to Mount Scopus, where you got your studies, we brought just 5 or 6 years ago, almost all the institutions that deal with child welfare. These institutions do not belong to the university, but we brought them physically to be near the university, and our social work school and our psychology department and several other related departments work closely with those institutions. We train our students there, but we provide many answers to questions that arise within those institutions. And we feel that we do it not because it's good for us. We do it because it's good for the community. As another example, we just established a new center for addiction. Addiction is one of the new diseases that is spreading around in many different vices. So in the United States, you know about the opiates issue, but you have computer games, you have other addictions that exist right now in modern society, and lots of people need help. And so we brought from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem a center that is dedicated to addiction and to addiction help, to help people that have those addictions. And again, we connected them with medicine, with our medical faculty, with Hadassah that you mentioned before, and with psychology and social work schools, in order, again, to provide top-notch help to people that need it. So these are two examples of our involvement with the community. I'll give you another example from the other side. In our other campus in Givat Ram, called the Safra campus, we are now building a huge structure. It's 150,000 square of space, which is huge, that we are going to situate, to put there industrial companies, primarily high-tech, nanotech, and biotech companies. Just to give you a sense of the size, there will be there 10,000 positions.
Wow.
And that's going to be right at the campus. And the aim is to create interaction between our top-notch scientists inside the campus and those companies in order to promote even more inventions and more discoveries and more structures and elements that the society needs, and to inject some vitality into the economy. I should say that we do all of this in close cooperation with the municipality. The municipality recognizes the importance of this for the economy of Jerusalem, and so we are doing it with them. And that's already coming up.
That sounds amazing. And yeah, it answers definitely then we can, or I'm sure we're already seeing, but we'll see in the future even more economic benefits for Jerusalem. And so thank you for that answer. But now can you talk a little bit about the community in Jerusalem? For those who don't know, Jerusalem has a very big ultra-Orthodox Jewish community that are very, very traditional and maybe not open to university studies. There's a very big Arab Muslim community in Jerusalem. And of course, Jews and Arabs and others that are maybe more, that are secular, that are not religious. How do you incorporate, or do you, and how do you incorporate all these different communities as students and as faculty in the university?
We do a lot, I think, in this domain as well. It's very important for us to have diversity. Diversity adds quality. It doesn't really help the community, but it adds quality. You have more diversity, you have more quality. And what we do, we're trying to bring into our campus both ultra-Orthodox students, at least those that accept some of our rules, because we don't teach we don't separate genders when we teach. So the ultra-Orthodox that come have to accept the fact that our population is mixed. Gender-wise, it's mixed, but there are a large number of those that are willing to accept it. We provide them with other conditions, such as ultra-kosher cafeterias and whatever. So, and we bring them into the campus. At the same time, we also bring students from East Jerusalem, Arabs. Students from East Jerusalem. We teach them Hebrew, and then we provide them with education. We bring Arabs from the north, from the Arab society in the north, Israeli Arab citizens from the north. And we provide also education for all kinds of additional underprivileged people that come from different backgrounds and that did not get the opportunity to be well prepared. We have prep schools that provide skills for those people, and then we admit them into the university.
You find them? You test them, then bring them?
Excuse me?
Do you test, like you take youngsters or people who finish their army service and see if they have the potential and then bring them?
Yeah, we do that. We provide that. It's not always easy because we do not compromise on the quality of our education. So we provide them with the background skills that are needed before they enter studies. And that's why we have the prep schools. And then we admit them, and many of them, a large many of them, actually succeed, and they get their second opportunity via this route. And we also have to help in this process because it's not always easy. They come from different cultures, and it's sometimes is an issue. We also built a multicultural center where we provide different types of helps for those students.
Also during their studies?
During their studies, yeah.
So you follow with them, you basically let them throughout their years in the university.
And all this while maintaining top-notch teaching and research programs.
Beautiful, it's beautiful. And another specific questions about this that's close to my heart. What about women, young women, females, both also from these sectors, but also as faculty and as professors or researchers in the university? Do you also put stress on that, on incorporating at least, let's say, equal amounts of women and men?
Well, we certainly try. This is not yet the situation. It's a worldwide problem. But our goal is to eventually get to a situation where we have 50% from each gender among our faculty members. Right now, it's not the situation. We are working very hard to improve it. We have many different programs that if you want, I can even tell you what they are in order to be able to bring more and more women into our faculty. We increased the percentage. It's not yet where we want it to be, but we are going to keep working on it in order to make sure that eventually we reach the only number that is acceptable, which is equality.
Yeah, it's another ongoing, right? Looking to the future, and one other ongoing project, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the different communities. So let me take it a little wider than Jerusalem or Israel. You hosted a delegation from Bahrain. So we'd like to hear about that delegation, but also a little bit what you think the future or can hold after the Abraham Accords and our new relationship with the UAE, with Bahrain, maybe a little bit later with Sudan. But let's concentrate on Bahrain first and the UAE. What do you think would be the potential, again, for Hebrew University in Jerusalem in this?
Well, the university is all about opening bridges. And when that bridge was opened, when we got just recently into a situation where we can talk to the Emirates and to Bahrain, we talked to them. We are now talking to all the major universities in the Emirates. And in Bahrain specifically, it moved very quickly. And in fact, I think it was last week, we hosted a delegation from Bahrain, a wonderful delegation, talking about diversity. It's a delegation for the Abrahamic religion studies, but the head of the center is a male from the kingdom, from a relative of the king, I guess. And number 2 and number 3 in that center are women.
Wow.
Yeah, and it looked quite impressive. The opportunities that different types of people, men and women, get there. So we already established this particular delegation. And in fact, we hope that very soon we will be able to bring a group of students to experience a month in the university.
Let us know about this, please. We'd love to speak to them.
Don't worry. As soon as it happens, you will know.
Thank you.
But it's in the process.
That is amazing. And I'm glad you mentioned it, because Israel, with all the coronavirus restrictions, Israel is allowing students, international students, to enter Israel in order to study in our universities.
Indeed.
So amazing that you already will have soon from Bahrain. But can you tell a little bit for the American parents, but also for the students who are watching and are interested about, what can an American student, if they want to study a semester, a course, a year in Israel, in Hebrew University, just a little bit about the Rothberg School and what the opportunities are and what language you teach, in what language you teach?
Well, we sometimes teach in Chinese, but most of the time we teach either in Hebrew or in English. And we have the Rothberg School, which is our international school, which is teaching only in English. And we do it already for many years. Students from abroad, say from the United States, can come for a short period of time, could be up to a full year or a semester, or sometimes even shorter periods of time in the summer. And we have all kinds of courses, all of course being taught in English. We have many different programs that we offer. I might add that right now, of course, the entire world is facing the coronavirus, as we all know, but we have an excellent record of keeping our faculty and our students healthy. We follow strictly all the health regulations. We have, by the way, constant tests that we conduct within the campuses to make sure that nothing really serious happen. And so far, so good. We have very few cases of infections, and because we have maybe the fastest epidemiological unit in the world, we conduct those investigations and finish them within 3 hours.
Wow,
We always were able to catch things when they happened. Not many things happened, but when they did happen, we caught them very quickly and prevented any kind of spread of the infection. And that's why our local students and our international students actually live in a safe environment. And we have many international students that came. So far, no case of that I know of.
Would. Yeah, and soon you will have the lab with the 10,000 tests that you can do, and will be.
Yes, indeed. But even with the number of tests that we can do now, and we can do tests, we do conduct those tests. We don't need to conduct many tests because we don't have many suspicious cases. But we have that ability as well. We work on this one also in close cooperation with the Hadassah Hospital. And so the health situation is very good. And we see it because we have no less number of international students and postdocs than we had 2 years ago.
Wow.
Lots of people came despite the situation.
Yeah. I think that you found a
I
way.
may dare to say that they don't regret coming.
I am sure they don't. And I think it just goes to show, you did find a way to balance being safe with the coronavirus and continuing your research and, striving for academic excellence and keeping everything balanced, which is amazing. And we have quite a few comments about possible universities, Oklahoma University and others. So we will get to those. If we don't get to them now, we will get by email. Hebrew University will answer, and we'll try to see what we can do. And talking about Corona and going back to what you studied, psychology, and you said you were an optimist. And I know I've read what you did. So you do about cognition and understanding responses to situations. I don't know if Corona is relevant, but can you tell us a little bit from your research and from your talking and being the president of the university, are you doing studies, or what do you think will be the effects or the long-term effects on the generation now that's in school, that's in university from this pandemic? Will they continue to be optimistic? Will it change our outviews?
Well, I don't know if it's related to my own studies. I always preach people to be optimists, because whether you are optimist or pessimist, things will happen anyways. So you might as well be optimist while you don't know what's going to happen. You have to prepare for any eventuality. But in terms of feelings, that's what I preach. Not because I'm a psychologist, just because I think it's better for people to do that. Unfortunately, I don't do nowadays a lot of research myself. I don't have time for that, being in the administrative job that I have. But I always was, and I hope I always will be an optimist.
And you say, but still preparing, because I think people are having.
Yeah, being optimist is not being stupid. You have to prepare for everything, but you have to hope that things will turn for good.
We don't have, wait, discard. Okay, I will do that. You're absolutely right. We spoke about, the different medicines and different technologies and innovations that were founded and started at Hebrew University. And Yisum is the tech transfer company of the university. Can you give us some examples, maybe one, two, of world-known inventions that started at Hebrew U and that Yisum helped market or bring to market?
Yeah, I'll start with a technological invention. Mobileye. Have you heard about Mobileye?
Of course.
That's the autonomous car company that was sold to Intel for a large sum of money. Unfortunately, we only got a small part of it, but it was sold for a large sum of money, and it really is at the forefront of designing autonomous cars for the future. It's the near future, actually, and it came out of the Hebrew University. That's at the technological end of inventions. But every single cherry tomato that you eat was invented at the Hebrew University. Before that invention, the cherry tomatoes had a shelf life of 1 day.
Oh.
And our researchers designed all the cherry tomatoes that you eat now. And in between, we have many other inventions, some of them highly technological, some of them medical, and some of them applied. Many different types of things, including the colors that you see on your screen and many other things.
Yeah. And also, I think, if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, and Orcam, who helps blind people see things, we had them, we hosted them here at the embassy, and they helped out a young girl who had cancer in her eyes. Yeah. And it was amazing.
Orcam is designed for visually deprived people because it provides information. It has a very sophisticated camera in your glasses, really, the side of your glasses, that can read or identify objects for you while you are walking, so you can actually function. But I can tell you, I'm looking forward to having an Orcam myself, so that it will tell me the names of the people that I see, and so that I don't pretend as if I remember names that I don't remember.
So now with mobile phones, we don't need to remember numbers anymore. And you're saying with Orcam, we won't even have to remember names.
And it will help people like me that are sometimes name challenged.
Also in the diplomatic world, I have to tell you, it would be a huge a huge bonus.
So Ocam is another invention by a faculty member in our university. And it came out of the university.
We are almost, we are out of time, but I just have to say something. You know, as a student, as I said, at the university, I think it's amazing that Hebrew University is, it's not just I mean, it was found before the state of Israel, and it's located, you know, in different places in Jerusalem. All of them are very meaningful, but you see in art, you see in movies like, you know, Avi Nesher's movie Wonders, and in the books of Amos Oz, you always see them talking about the buildings and Hebrew University, and it's really, it's an institution. It's part of the city that you cannot take apart. And I remember, you know, even Meir Shalev, right, wrote about the campuses or Mount Scopus campus, where you can get lost for days, and you know, students who ended up studying history because they never found.
The very funny story by Meir Shalev, yeah. Yeah, but the Hebrew University is really part of the infrastructure of the state of Israel. It was actually established some 23 years before the establishment of Israel itself, and was highly instrumental in making Israel the modern country that it is, which we are very proud of it. And so you see Hebrew University, buildings of Hebrew University, everything in every cultural infrastructure piece that you can imagine. Movies, books, everything like that. Still, we face the future. What we do now is looking into the future and trying to provide good things for the future.
I think this is a perfect place to end. And yeah, and I think, you know, I encourage all of you to read about Hebrew U. For those of you who can, and it's relevant for you, look for the opportunities to come and study. We will answer you all by email with our friends at Hebrew U. We'll try to answer all the questions we didn't get to.
And you can come and visit. And I hope, Tammy, that as a graduate of the Hebrew University, as a successful graduate of the Hebrew University, you are now even a little bit more proud of what we do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I learned new things, which is, you know, it's one of the good things about my job, so I'm very, very thankful. Thank you for the amazing talk, for your insights, Professor Cohen. And I'm sure we'll be in touch about the Bahraini student delegations and much more.
And thanks to the audience for listening to all of that.
Yes, thank you all here from everywhere. Thank you so much. Stay safe,
welcome.
everybody. Shalom.